Yes, people. Hold on. Not getting no sound from my speakers. Should be all right. But can you lot hear me on the mic? Pick up everyone that's waiting. Let me just let Lewis know that I'm live now. Help us get to 15K. If you're new to the platform, hit that subscribe button. We've got lots to talk about today. Hey, listen, I'm not going to lie to you people. I have been on strings ever since this aggressive pursuit of Enzo Fernandez. I have absolutely been on strings, man. I'm just dying for this deal to happen. I refuse to get too far ahead of myself. Yeah, but I am getting a little excited. But let's wait and see. There's still a lot to do. Lewis will be here in a minute. I think he's about to end his live stream and join us in a few minutes. I don't know if he's ended it already, but let me just say wagwan to 1-2 people in the group chat. Rayan, big up yourself. News on João Felix. Well, real quick, since I wasn't planning on speaking about him. Personally, from the sources, obviously your normal sources, your David Ornsteins and your Romanos and all that, Chelsea spoke to Mendes and have an interest, but I think two things have happened. João Felix would prefer Arsenal, and Arsenal are very interested. And there's also the fact that no club wants to pay the 8 million fee, I believe it is, in loan that Atletico Madrid wants. So he could very easily stay at Atletico Madrid. Could very easily stay there. Also, as well, I think they're pushing for a mandatory buy option at the end of the loan of around £86 million. Now, that's a huge commitment. No doubt that the player potentially is special. Like, he's been underperforming under Simeone, but then Simeone plays satanic football, doesn't he? Do you know what I mean? It's all mad. It's not really like when he went from Benfica to Atletico Madrid. For me, it was just like, why? You had the pick of you had Europe at your feet, and this is the club that you picked. Is what it is. And then the contract situation was mad. Signed some mad long contract or whatever, and now look, it's all ended in tears. But I think most of us saw this coming. Most of us definitely saw that coming. There's Lewis. That pop signifies that Lewis has arrived. Guest for today. Just finished his live.
Yes, bro.
What's going on?
The raid failed and everything. That was my bad, but we'll sort that out afterwards. But big up everybody. Big up everybody that's in here. Hit the like button and everything. You guys already know what to do. Fucking crazy ass conversations on my last stream. Man was talking about fucking Saka being better than half of our attack. So I loved the Arsenal slander, but
who said this?
It was Deals. Big up Deals. That's my guy and everything.
Look,
no.
Listen, yeah. With the Saka situation, because I've been hearing some takes, and I think they're a bit wild. Saka is one of the top young talents in the world. I'll give him that. But is he of the Vinicius Junior level? Not for me, bruv. Is he of that Erling Haaland elite level of performance? No, he's not, bruv. So for me, like, he's still, but that's not to say he's.
I wouldn't say world class, but he's the level below.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
As much as I hate to say it, he's knocking on the door.
This is what I'm saying. So by us saying that, it's not that he's a bad player, but like, don't get too ahead of yourself. Some of these guys, they're winning domestic leagues, Champions Leagues. In the case of Vinicius, Camavinga, and Tchouaméni, and these guys. Well, Tchouaméni not yet, but you get me. So there's still a lot to prove, because look, if they win the league this season, which I pray it doesn't happen, yeah, that's a massive milestone. Now, the next thing to do is you got to do it in Europe as well, because all these youngsters have. We're just holding you to the same standards as these young elite players. Am I wrong to do that?
No, it's not really about age, though. It's about experience.
Yeah.
If you have 2-3 years at the top level, like you've bedded in, you understand the league, you understand the intensity and what you need to bring to the table. It's about your application at that point. People use age too much as an excuse for me, personally.
I'll end it on this. I think Saka is an excellent player. good player. Because look, let's have it right as well. He does it at international level as well. He gets goals for England as well. And that for me is something that you've got to give as a plus. That ticks another box. But fortunately, he's still very young. He's got the ceiling to smash that world-class ceiling and become elite. But give it time. There's nothing wrong with giving players time. Do you know what I mean? But
have you seen this thing from Pies quickly, just before we start?
no, I haven't.
Literally just now he said from Fabrizio, Chelsea are hoping to hijack Arsenal's move for Mudryk.
Bro, this is... Who said this?
Fabrizio.
Yeah, but the problem is Shakhtar are asking for wild money, and I don't think Mudryk's gonna go for it. That stinks of agent talk for me, because the way Mudryk's been flicking his bum cheeks for Arsenal ever since he's been linked. Yeah. Like, I wouldn't even, at this stage, I wouldn't even want him, because he smells like an Arsenal fan to me. Like, not that it's the biggest thing.
Even if he had the shameless turnaround, I mean, I don't know. I need to look at more of the player before I judge him too much. But if we could lower that price tag, potentially.
It's all mad. They're all talking 80 million. Nah, bruv, listen, yeah.
80. Is that what we're looking at?
This is what I'm saying. And the man's played Ukrainian football. No disrespect, fam. Like, I'm not really trying to do that. I've seen really, I'm not gonna lie, it's mainly like YouTube and all that. No doubt he looks talented, but at 80 M's, it's all mad. Personally, I'd rather put the P's in Enzo Fernandez, and then we work it out from there, because there's other areas that we need to address 100%. But we're going to get into the content, obviously. Thank you for joining the live stream, bruv. I appreciate that. You get me? Hey, Big Six Bants, big up. Yeah,
every time, bro.
Big up Never a Foul as well. I was with the brothers yesterday, Cass and Monts. Make sure later on you go back and you check that out. Interesting discussion yet again on Enzo Fernandez. A bit of the Chelsea. I was able to rub it into them a little bit. Cass is a Man United fan. Monts is a Liverpool fan, obviously. It was nice to just rub it in and just let them know that, you know, we're slowly on our way back and you lot are going to respect the team. But as it says, drop a like on the way in. Large up, bro, though. Come on, man. Every time. And big up everyone in the chat as well. I was going through everyone. Let me just give 1-2 more shout outs before we get into it, Lewis. I feel like I was doing a disservice. I got through 2 names and you popped in. So big up yourself, David. Abdi, come on, bro. Big up yourself. Diego C. Palace. Every time. Big up, man. Big up everyone that's in here. Jamaican Emilio as well. Nice.
Yeah, your mic's bugging out a little bit.
My mic's going mad.
There we go.
Okay, it's better like this, yeah? Yeah, man, bear shout out. So, yeah, look, Chelsea hope to hijack Arsenal's move for Mudryk. Look, man, one transfer at a time. And now, obviously, let's get to the main of it. We're going to start off. We're going to get right in there. Enzo Fernandez, like, the developments over the past several days have been ridiculous. Like, it's just been mad. Like, we went from Liverpool being favourites to sign the player and us dreading them signing him. And now, obviously, Todd Bowley has come in and he's not having none of it. But I will say, though, this isn't just performances during the World Cup. We have been scouting him before the World Cup as well. He's definitely been on the radar. So this is not a knee-jerk type of signing. But from the developments that we're seeing, I don't know. Do you know what? I was going to say, I don't know how true this is, but I know, bro, the person sent it. I forgot.
I didn't know whether to believe him or not either, because Fabrizio was saying it's just still in negotiations.
Hanno, the brother sending this, is a good guy. I know. I speak to him. So I am inclined to believe what he says. He ain't gonna do me dirty like that. I know.
Oh no, but this isn't from him. This is from Felix.
This is from Felix. So this is that's what I'm saying. Because sometimes people in the comments like to get me on fake news, cuz. So I just had to make sure. But when I saw Coach's Corner and I saw Hanno, I know it can be. It's a legit thing. Chelsea and Benfica have verbal agreement for Enzo Fernandez fee, circa 120 million performance related add-ons that take to around 130 million euros. So no shock there. The structure of the deal is still to be fully agreed, but this is not anything different from what we've heard so far. Like right now, as it stands, the player wants the move. He's agreed personal terms. He wouldn't mind the move in January. It's just the price structure Have we got any further developments in terms of what's going on with the pricing, whether we've still got to meet the release clause or we've arranged a payment structure that's going to be a little kinder to us in terms of FFP?
I'm not too sure about the pay structure because I heard taxes coming into it, and I didn't really notice that until like an hour into my stream. But the fact that we look to have progressed so far in negotiations means to me that that can't be too big of a stumbling block, because we wouldn't be as close as it sounds. We already have the player wanting to come to Chelsea. I think personal terms are close to being agreed on or something like that. And we're debating whether there's even been a verbal agreement. If that was an issue, then that would have already halted our progress. So I'm feeling a lot more confident now than I was yesterday about this, because the progression has just been ridiculous. But yeah, it looks like we are getting the player, and he's not a player that completely changes everything for us, but it's a massive step in the right direction for our midfield.
Let's talk about that as well, because for me, this signing, you see why I'm really excited about it, because it's more than the fact that it's a midfielder that ticks several boxes in terms of the current deficiencies that we've got. It's more of a sense of like, we haven't signed a player of that profile, if you think about it, since like an Eden Hazard. I'm talking of like that global superstar, and everyone can say like, yo, the potential is 1000% there. Do you know what I mean? So what I'm trying to say is that in terms of going for targets similar to that in the future, it then kind of becomes easier because we've got this player to point to. We can now sell the project a lot better with being able to sell a superstar. And remember, right, we're in a climate where we don't even know if we're going to get Champions League football. So if that goes over the line, that is a massive power move in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, for Champions League, I'm still a bit unsure about whether it could change anything for that. But with the amount of players that we're meant to be looking for, apparently a winger, a midfielder, I think a centre-back, still need to see a right-back too. But if we manage to tick all of those boxes and the players hit the ground running, maybe I could potentially see. I think it's a lot to ask of this squad right now, but that would change my opinion on the squad a lot more for the positive.
I mean, the other side of it is Benfica. Well, I don't know if it was fake tweets or fake news or whatever, but Benfica came out and discredited something along the lines of Rui Costa saying that they don't want to sell the player, but they're willing to meet his demands if the release clause is met. It was something along those lines. So,
AKA just reached a release clause.
Yeah. So look, Benfica don't want to sell, but then we've got to look at the flip side of it. Is if they sell in summer, they're not going to get anywhere near the 127 million that we're offering them in the payment structure. They'll probably get closer to 80 million. And also as well, I want to add, I think if this goes on beyond January, we can kiss this goodbye, because at a lower price, Real Madrid are going to come in and say, yeah, we'll have him. And that's the end of it. How many times have we seen that happen? So for me, it feels like a now or never. But from a financial perspective, it's a lot of money for Benfica. And especially, like, evidently, their scouting is elite, bro. What do you think 127 million euros would do for them? Obviously, it's not going to be in a lump sum payment, but you get me? It's going to be amortized. That's what the negotiation's about, is the fact that because if we met the release clause, we've got to pay that in full plus the taxes. So the reason why we're negotiating outside of it and adding more is, one, to incentivize the deal to go through in January, and two, to be able to split the payments over the entirety of his contract. That's how things are usually done. And we're well within the FFP parameters if we do that. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think Benfica are going to crumble. Do you reckon?
So what? They're asking for a lump sum. They're asking for it all up front.
If they're stubborn and they don't want to work outside the release clause, that's the mandatory law in that Portuguese league, is that the release clause has to be met in full. It cannot be staggered payments. It has to be paid, including the tax, I believe.
Yeah, that is a massive payout for them. But I don't even know if they use it in terms of bringing big names in itself. I think they just use it to strengthen their scouting system and look for the next youngsters. Because clubs like that, to be honest, are more selling clubs to the top teams in the top 5 leagues.
And
Look
it
at the
will
amount of
be,
money that they've made.
and I believe it will be the biggest transfer in their history, and also the biggest transfer for any
Yeah,
Argentinian
so I
player
ain't
in history.
surprised that they're probably going to hold out for that. Like, that's a ridiculous amount of money to them. That could mean a lot to their infrastructure. I don't know, the stadium, the training facilities, all sorts of stuff they could be improving on that sort of money. When United bought Harry Maguire for 80 million, I think Leicester used all of that for their new training facilities. So I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, look from a business perspective. It makes sense that Benfica sell now unless they win the Champions League, win domestically. Maybe not. And the way Benfica are kind of dealing with teams so far, they look good. I'm not going to say they're favorites to win, but they look all right. So there's also incentive for him to stay there. They're also talking about offering him a new contract, but putting in a cheaper, more affordable release clause for the summer. So there's also that option. So look, this is a deal that's going to be concluded, I reckon, over the next few days. Fabrizio, we've heard him say if any deal's going to get done, then it's going to have to be done soon. Benfica don't want to hang around until the end of the transfer window. So we're going to have to see with that. But I'm optimistic. I think Benfica will definitely go for the money. But then what do you think that means for a Declan Rice?
I think with Chelsea, like, we're not looking at him as a big priority right now. And with Declan Rice, like we said a lot of times, he apparently wants Chelsea more than anything. Most of these links have either been Chelsea fans, honestly, just talking it into existence, and Declan Rice himself speaking about Chelsea every opportunity he gets. Chelsea would probably look at that and think we can wait. We can let the price tag go down and then just get him at an affordable rate.
Yeah.
Or if not, Rice goes to another club. And again, we need to have discussions about Declan Rice being proper Chelsea if that's the case. But Declan Rice should still be a Chelsea player if everything goes to plan. And it's just move at Chelsea's speed, because we should be the front runners in spite of what other clubs are interested, because he should only be wanting Chelsea.
Well, now I'm hearing that some of the news we've heard is a little wide off the mark in terms of if we sign Enzo Fernandez, it shouldn't impact the Declan Rice deal. I'm hearing that Christopher Vivell, obviously our new technical director, may have other targets that he's more interested in bringing into Chelsea that could potentially cost as much as Declan Rice. And those two targets I'm talking about are Kouadio Kone of Borussia Monchengladbach and potentially Romeo Lavia, although the Romeo Lavia situation sounds a little more complicated because apparently his agent wants to wait until Manchester City's buyback option can be activated to give him more options and obviously to give him more leverage in terms of
When's that?
contract.
End of the season?
I'm not sure if it's the end of this season or the end of next. I believe, do you know what? I believe it's actually the end of next season because Lavia's only signed. He only signed this season, didn't he, for Southampton?
Yeah, I think it was this season.
So, and usually it's not until 18 months down the line or where the buyback clause can be activated, which is probably why Chelsea are trying to act early because obviously with the buyback, the Manchester City instantly become favourites. But if we can do a deal outside of that window, perhaps we can snatch the player.
Yeah. What was the two players again? That just
Kouadio Kone and Lavia.
Yeah, Kouadio Kone. I remember doing my research on him a few days ago. He looks like a good box-to-box midfielder, but he's still a little bit raw right now. But all those sorts of aspects can be built in with better coaching and experience. So I do think he'd be a good option for us. But I think he would be another investment signing, at least from what I've seen. He could be a lot further forward than I'm giving him credit for. Lavia, that, like you said, it's a tough one because we could easily just throw everything at it, get maybe 50 million or something around that, maybe get the player now. But I could see his agent hold it off to the summer. And it would be a lot more straightforward for the player by then because he has much more clubs to choose from. There's a much bigger bidding war. So, yeah, I think Kone would happen. Kone I could see happen because I haven't really heard any other clubs interested in him. Lavia, though, that's going to be difficult because let's say Phillips doesn't work out at Man City. They get rid of him. They bring in Lavia as the replacement.
It's a good point. You know, I never thought about that.
I don't know because Phillips hasn't had the best of time there.
Yeah, he hasn't. He hasn't really been playing as much football as he would have liked. And that's a point that I actually didn't think about. But when we look from Southampton's point of view, right? If we look at them in the Prem now, they look like they could potentially get relegated, which means that outside of January, this could be their potential. This could potentially be their best time to sell the player and make the most out of it. Because if they go through the drop, they're going to have to sell for closer to the buyback clause that Manchester City have because the player is going to want to leave 100%. Right now, there's the incentive of if we sell him now, but it's a double-edged sword. If we sell him now, we get the most for him, but we weaken our squad and we're already looking like we're in a relegation fight.
If anything, I think that makes them less likely to do it because
the
money in the Premier League is too big. They can't afford to just try and cash out now and basically accept that they're probably going down. They have to go down swinging. So if anything, that makes it even less likely he goes in January.
100%. But just to go back to Kouadio Kone, this is a player that I've liked for a long time. And I personally believe that he has got the potential to become an elite midfielder. 100%. And from just the technical standpoint, his ability to dribble, he's got a very high retention rate in terms of possession, winning back possession. He can score from outside the box as well. The kid is talented, bro. The kid's talented. He's not a joke. But obviously,
yeah, I was impressed with the stuff I've seen from him, but I've only seen comp footage. And from what I've read about him, there is aspects of his game, like his decision making, that does still need improving. But that's with time. He's still young.
I mean, look, he over dribbles it sometimes and he loses the ball. I think because originally he was playing as a DM and he looked competent at it, but I felt that they pushed him slightly forward and kept him there because one, attacking wise, he's good as well. He can pick a pass. But two, it's just that it's very risky losing the ball right in front of your defense and consistently putting them under pressure. Do you know what I mean? And that's what was happening at the time. So, yeah, but it's like you said, he's still a young player. You know, that can be coached out of him coming into the club, learning from your N'Golo Kantes and so on and so forth. Could only be a good thing in terms of his development. But that's a player that I like. It's a deal that would probably cost nothing more than 40 million euros. So that's a decent price for the potential that you're getting there. Lavia as well. What do you think of him in terms of like ability-wise? Do you rate him?
Oh, he's a very good ball winner from what I've seen and fits the profile that we have been begging for. Tall, imposing, able to be physical on the ball. He's got good passing as well. He's got a lot of what you want for a DM. He ticks a lot of boxes for us. I think he can play as an 8-2, but I'm not sure.
He definitely can. But just looking at his technical skill set, you can see he can blatantly do it. 100%. He can blatantly.
Yeah, he'd definitely be capable of it in there. But as a 6, I'd be 100% down for bringing him. I think he fits a lot of what we've been lacking and a lot of what we're looking for.
Now let's say we sign Lavia for 50 million. We signed Kone for about 40 million euros. I don't know. Maybe that's about 35 million pounds. Let's say that's the case. 85 million for the two players. Or do you go 70 million for Declan Rice?
I'd go for the two. Kone, I can see the player that he's going to be. Lavia, I can already see the quality. Those are two players that strengthen our squad. Declan Rice is one player who still has a bit of a way to go as a player too. Obviously, his quality. I'm not going to say he's inconsistent or anything, but there is aspects of his game that do need to improve. His forward passing needs to be a lot better. Decision making at times needs to be a lot better as well. He's a great ball progressor. can sit. Obviously, we've seen it. He's got good passing in him, but there's areas of his game that needs to improve too. So I'd rather go for the 2 than the 1. Plus, we get him in the next year for cheaper.
Facts.
Big up Todd as well.
Yeah, we got to big up Todd Miller, man. 100%. We need Declan Rice for Lewis.
Bro, I'm with Rice for coming now. I'm with Rice coming now, bro. Yeah. The price tag's dropped. I'm a lot more calmer with it.
Yeah, that to be fair, that was my initial problem as well, bruv. It was more so the price tag, innit? It was I wasn't trying to pay 120 million for the guy. But at this price tag, it's more reasonable. I hear that. And there's still...
And now it's less annoying to hear it. A year ago, I'm hearing a bunch of Rice stands and Rice himself trying to advocate for a 100 to 150 million move. Now we're doing it for a 70 million move. It's not as annoying because it makes more sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, man. But for me, I think the value for money comes with those 2 young players, because now this is obviously... I'm not speaking it as a fact. This is my personal belief. I think what both of those 2 players can develop into future-wise would be more than what Declan Rice can offer for me. Because Lavia definitely has the potential to be an elite DM. I stand by that. And I strongly believe that Kouadio Kone, with the right development as well, can potentially become an elite centre mid. I believe he's technical enough, quick enough, smart, got the game intelligence to do so. But obviously, like you said, has to knock two things out of his game. So for me, immediately, the value for those 2 players, and it's really 2. It's almost 2 for the price of 1. You see what I'm saying?
That strengthens our entire midfield as a whole,
right? And it's gonna be for the next how many years? Do you know what I mean? But
yeah, as the future, that's 2 midfielders that can play together as opposed to 1 midfielder who could still grow to be quality. I'm not going to say he isn't, but you could have 2 quality midfielders or 1, or you could have 3 if you wait a year.
Exactly. And then also, look, it takes pressure off our other midfielders. So, we're not going to have to worry about Enzo playing every game in the season and us running him down to the ground. There's some rotation available there. We're not going to see a Kovacic situation happen, a Kante situation happen again. Fingers crossed. It ticks several boxes. But again, that's not to say Declan Rice is a bad player. I'm not going to lie. Yeah, it is what it is. But I'm done talking about Declan Rice. Quite like you said, I'm tired of it. We'll just wait and see
it for 3 years.
Summer. But another name that is coming up is Moises Caicedo. But I have a strong inkling that Liverpool are going to be aggressive for this player and that he's going to end up there. And I'll be honest with you, Lewis. And if you disagree with me, just let me know. I think Caicedo is a good player. But do I rate him and say, yeah, he's one of them elite guys? No. Can he fit and do a job in Jurgen Klopp's system and look better than he is? Potentially. I wouldn't really cry over that. I wouldn't really be too upset if he went there. How do you see Caicedo?
I don't know. I think he's a quality midfielder personally, and just the fact that it's Potter who picked him, the same scouting team that we now have picked him, and Potter himself said I think he said he'll sell one of his feet for 60, 70 million.
You see what I'm saying?
He's a good player in there, and he can get even more out of him. Those Brighton players that we're linked with, I'm not sleeping on only because they're at the level that they're at because of Graham Potter, and their scouting has been better than ours over the last few years. If those are the players that they have picked, there's got to be some quality in there.
I don't disagree. No, I mean, I don't disagree. I don't think he's a terrible player, but I do think he gets blown out of proportion sometimes. I do.
That can be fair. That's fair. Yeah. Everyone likes to have the hipster's choice of player. And
yeah, that's what I mean. So, but no doubt, again, that's another player that can develop and really shine at the top level. But I wouldn't really cry too much over spilled milk there because, like I said, there's also those other 2 options that we're seriously looking at. And if we get those over the line, I'd be more than happy. Do you know what I mean? But to me, it looks like he's going to Liverpool, and that will definitely strengthen them 100%. That will strengthen them. It's affordable for them. If they are really talking about 70 million euros, it's definitely affordable. Because in that case, if they're going to look at Declan Rice or Caicedo, I believe Chelsea will be looking at Declan Rice all day long if they had the choice between the two players, given how long we've been chasing Declan Rice as well. You know what, Guni? Rice and Bellingham at Chelsea would be like chicken and rice, a perfect combo. It'd be too expensive if we sign Enzo, and it was never going to be.
Also, I need a sitter behind that.
It was never going to be Enzo and Bellingham, and to be honest with you, this is why I'm okay with us not going for Bellingham. Quite rightly, like Lewis said, we desperately need sitters behind two number 8s because I believe that's what we're going to play. We've been hinted to be playing a back 4. Maybe sometimes on the transition we'll switch to a back 3, but I believe that the back 4 is what we're going to be going for, man. But But yeah, man, Lewis, how long did you say you've got? How much more time?
I got another 10.
You got another 10 minutes. Okay, so
10,
goalkeeper situation. I think it was Simon Phillips that tweeted it the other day or yesterday. But we're looking at Livakovic, the Croatian goalkeeper. Now that move makes sense. And you know what? We'll split this 5 minutes, because I want to talk about a right back as well real quick before we go. But Livakovic, 27 years old. This is off the top of my head. I still believe he's at Dynamo. Or if I'm wrong, let me know, people in the chat. Is he at Dynamo or am I getting that one wrong?
Yeah, he's at Zagreb.
He's at Zagreb. There you go. So it's not going to be a transfer fee that's going to be blown out of proportion. The numbers I was actually hearing was 25 million euros. How accurate that is, I don't know. But in terms of what we saw at the World Cup tax, I am bearing that in mind. 25 million, 27 for a goalkeeper, and it's not really too old, is it? Do you see a good value in that signing if we go for him?
I was impressed with what I saw from him at the World Cup. I thought his shot stopping looked good. Obviously looked like a good penalty saver. I do think maybe you need to see a bit more from him, but for 25 to 30, it is relatively low risk as well. So if they wanted to, I wouldn't necessarily be against it. But I need to see more of the player before I make a final judgment on him. Yeah, goalkeeper's a sticky situation because of what Trent said. The whole Kepa wage situation is a bit mad, but Kepa's actually having a very good season. Very good season for us. He's doing everything that's being asked of him. I haven't seen any mistakes from him this season. There has been games where he hasn't been tested that much, but it's been the same with Edouard Mendy at times. I don't know. If this keeps up from Kepa over the next game or two, I'd be fine to just run with him till the end of the season.
For me, look, credit where it's due. Kepa's done well this season, 100%, but we've got to move him on. I don't trust it. It's more of a sell when the stock's high.
We did everything we could to try and sell him last summer. We couldn't do it. We put him up for 30 million. No one came in.
It's the wages.
He was in the market. That's the problem. And I don't think we will get rid of Kepa at this point. That's why I'm thinking whatever goalkeeper you bring, there can't be any questions about because they need the same wages. Exactly. So Livakovic, he looks good, but I can't say anything right now. Like the only one I could really think of that I could say I want potentially is Diogo Costa. And even he didn't have the best World Cup.
Yeah,
He's done really good for Porto.
I don't disagree. And that was a name that I was going to bring up. Now, I was going to say, if it's either Diogo Costa or Livakovic, for me, it's going to be Diogo Costa all day. Long term, he's what I've wanted. The World Cup, yes, he didn't cover himself in glory, but I'm not knee-jerk. Do you know what I mean? I believe every player has the potential to make errors and to have bad performances and have bad patches. Goalkeeper, when you're young, especially, remember, that's a very, very mature position. When you're that young, there's still so much to learn. There's still a lot of confidence to build. It's a spotlight position. So these things do happen. So I'm not really watching that too tough. But no, I have to agree with you on that one.
It's possible to a fucking T as well.
Yeah, exactly. That's
that
it.
Passing is ridiculous.
He suits the profile. Tiang, big up yourself. To be honest, Todd Bowley and the backroom staff are strategic. Yeah, I mean, Todd Bowley is making the right moves. The Christopher Vivell move, getting that over the line, is probably going to be one of the biggest signings that we're going to make, regardless of an Enzo Fernandez, regardless of anything. That one there is a crucial one. There are several more names that are going to be coming in. We've got our man from Monaco. We've got as well, what's the guy from Southampton's name? But he can't join until the end of the next transfer window because of the non-compete agreement. Yeah, so we got several top names that are coming in terms of recruitment. I'm not too worried. But real quick, before Lewis has to go, we got 248 people in the building, and big man ting, I don't really ask you lot for too much, man. Smash that like button. Help me get to 200 likes. Yeah, help me get to 200
Give me a
likes.
sec. Let me do that.
Let's get up on that algorithm. Do you get me? 200 likes, people. I would like that. Yeah. Also, as well, smash that subscribe button if you are new to the platform. We are trying to currently get to 15,000. Obviously, subscribe to Lewis if you haven't. I highly doubt that you're not subscribed to him. You get me? But if you haven't, subscribe to my brother. Let's get this road to 20K on the road, man. Let's do this. But real quick, right back situation, Reece James. I've said this in the summer. I said it was a big mistake, us not going for a backup right back. I was shouting Kyle Walker-Peters for 18 million would make sense. But we decided not to address the situation when we knew we had an injury-prone Reece James. This talk about Reece James being injury-prone is not new. We knew this. We failed to address this in the summer. Hopefully, we will address it in January. And the names that are coming up are Juranovic of Celtic. Apparently, I don't know how true this is. Apparently, there's an 8 million price tag to Juranovic. We're looking at Malo Gusto as well over at Lyon, but so are several other clubs. We're also looking at Pedro Porro as well, which excites me. But again, with that one, there are huge conditions to being able to sign that player. And I believe we're looking at that youngster. Is his name Frimpong?
Yeah, Jeremy Frimpong.
Yeah.
Malo Gusto as well.
Yeah, Malo Gusto. Yeah, I already mentioned him. But out of those 4 signings, right? I mean, players, who would be your top of your pick?
From what I've seen from a numerical perspective, like I'd go Malo Gusto, but the other ones, like they all look decent in some aspects, but it's like they have a little bit here and they miss a little bit here. Malo Gusto looks good offensively. Defensively, I think he looks good as well, but I need to double check on my research on that. Kyle Walker-Peters, I wouldn't mind because he gives you depth on both sides too.
Yep.
We got linked with Dumfries, but I don't really want him. They cuss him out into Milan. Frimpong might be a good shout. Because he's young as well. Like you could mold him a little bit too.
Yeah.
But yeah, the main thing for me is just bringing a right back. Because like this whole Reece James thing, I do believe he's a little bit injury prone, but I'm not necessarily worried about the injuries because I think the biggest issue for us is that we rush him back and we don't give him the right depth. Even for this game, Potter was saying it wasn't ideal that we brought him back in a Premier League game, but there wasn't the right depth for it. We saw how awful we were as soon as Reece James came off the pitch. The biggest thing for us is have an adequate replacement for Reece James, and I think you protect the player a lot more. And also, thank God Southgate didn't take him to the World Cup too, because he wouldn't have lasted 30 minutes in that. God forbid.
Absolutely. And I think you're right in saying that the solution for Reece James is really get a better quality right back. And for me, the 2 names that stand out for me, and again, it's down to sample size of what I've seen. Malo Gusto, I've seen more of out of the 4 players. Obviously, Kyle Walker-Peters, I'm not really including him in this one because if I had the choice out of these players, he wouldn't be at the top of my list. But Malo Gusto, quite rightly, I've seen a bit of Pedro Porro, and from the little I've seen of him, I like him. And the thing is with him is that he can play a wing back system and he can play the right back system pretty well. But the condition with him, very similar to Lavia, I believe there's a buyback option with the player. Manchester City are interested in bringing him back to the club. And obviously, if they're interested in bringing him back to the club, it means there's no chance that any other team's going to get him. So for me, that's a bit of a pipe dream, unless Manchester City drop their interest. But even still with that, Real Madrid are interested. Several other top teams do like the player. Malo Gusto, we can get that done. But again, can it be a deal that's done in January? Because we need one as of now. But Lewis, I'm not going to keep you much longer. Thank you very much for joining in.
Every time, bro.
What have you got coming up on your platform, bro?
I don't know, to be honest. If there's any transfer news, I'll do an early stream. But if not, you guys ain't seeing me till January the 2nd. But if not, big up everyone. Have a happy new year and all of that. And let's go get 3 points at Nottingham Forest. So yeah, like, subscribe, Carefree Lewis G, Chelsea Fan TV, and big up. Big up.
You already know this. You already know this. And for me, people, what's going to be coming up, I'm going to be doing an in-depth video in terms of right-back options as well. Obviously, we're going to keep an eye on what's going on with Enzo Fernandez. Expect a conclusion to be done pretty soon, people, as we've read from Fabrizio and several other sources. So I'm going to be keeping my ears to the ground for that. But videos will be coming. I'll be going live. Sunday, Eunice will be jumping on the channel. We're not sure what time yet, but just make sure you're subscribed and you've got the notification bell on, and you will know. And also follow the socials, people. But before you leave, once again, smash that subscribe button, smash that like button as well. If you are watching after the stream, make sure you leave your thoughts down there in the comments and hit the notification bell so you know when the videos are coming out. And one more super chat before we go. Thank you very much, Smoky Settings. We beat Lyon 3-0. Gusto was mediocre. I think he's talking about Arsenal there where Reece Nelson done him. But again, young
friendly tax.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Friendly tax, young, and there's space for the player to grow. Every player will make their errors. But people, thank you very much for joining. And as always, up the Chelsea.